When you think about the age of our 40s, because we've mentioned it a couple times here in this podcast, is it easy for you to decide what is one of the best things about being in your 40s, and what is one of the more challenging things about being in your 40s? Do you think you could answer that? Because I got some stuff going in my mind. What do you think?
I do. I think one of the best things about it is that I will believe that I am so much more well rounded in my thought process of things. I like that. I mean, I've always been pretty diplomatic, but there was a lot of emotion always attached to it. So I didn't always make the right choices or react in the right ways. I let my emotions guide me too much. And now that I'm older and I can kind of look back, I've tend to slow down a bit when it comes to that. Just yeah, exactly. Just in general, I mean, I'm so much more like a reactor. I like go after like all in with, I don't stop and think before I react
Mm,
was always my thing. And anyone has ever kind of seen that side of me can attest. I just kind of like do it and think about it later.
mm,
And I'm switching that around a bit and trying to be more conscious of taking a beat and really thinking about what's going on so I can make a better decision about how I'm going to react to certain
mm.
things. And
That's what you would say is one of your
it's one of the best
the
things is
better
being
things
able to
about being
slow
40.
down and kind of take a look around and really look at what's going on without being so overly emotional. And when
Mhm.
I was younger, I mean, I'm a very passionate and emotional person anyway, and I just really kind of led with that, and I'm peeling that back a bit now, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the worst things is
I
that
can
everything
see it.
hurts.
Is that what?
Everything
Oh,
hurts.
I guess you and I, we both work really hard within what we do to create and make a better lives for ourselves in this stage. Both of us have worked for like big companies before, and now a lot of what we do is very much on the independent side, which AKA means working almost all day every day unless you put the boundary on it. So I agree that yeah, there's a lot of hurt, not hurt like sorrow, oh, not that kind of hurt, but hurt meaning yeah,
Like
you're not
physically,
properly nourishing yourself, you're
a
not
bone
sleeping.
hurts.
Yeah, you're not sleeping well, and it's all something that we could take for granted when we were younger.
Yeah.
Your bones would not hurt if you didn't get proper 8 hours of sleep, but now they will. So I really want to make it a mission for us to really step up and
Yeah.
really we are so here's what we'll do. You and I are so accountable on everything. When we talk about dating, boy, we give it to each other and give it to each other good. We do not sugarcoat anything. When we talk
Right.
about career, we're in each other's face, but we're also very supportive too.
Mhm.
Even I had a little situation a couple days ago where I was real sad about a thing, or frustrated rather,
Mhm.
and Kelly knows that push and pull to be like, shut up, or yo, I got your back. I understand what you're saying, but maybe one thing we need to do a little bit better is like, have you been drinking your
Self-care.
water?
Yeah.
Have you been going to doctor visits? And I think that's something that anybody who enjoys what we do, I hope that they could say, wow, this is a nice place for people around my age. Listen, a 23-year-old could love our show because we're amazing and
Well,
sexy.
I mean,
But I don't think that there's a lot of spaces that are really focusing on what is it to be a creative person past 30 something years old, 35 years old, and still here and not going nowhere and loving what we do, but we don't have necessarily the big limelight. If you're a celebrity,
right.
you get access into a world. We don't have that, but we know our show is good. So I think taking care of ourselves will be something very worth the while.
Well, it brings up also an interesting thing about just kind of like, and I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but just in,
No.
the healthcare resources that are available to us anyway. So
Hmm.
being self-employed or being, in a minority neighborhood or, kind of in a, lower middle class, which is where I grew up, the access that you get to healthcare and all of that is not readily available. I mean, there's, some things even now with the limited health insurance and all of that as a self-employed person that makes it difficult to have every test you need ran and all of this. And I actually had a similar situation to you. I had a friend of mine that I've known since I played t-ball, since
Oh
like
wow.
way in elementary school. She unfortunately passed away that recently, and I just went to her funeral. And She was such a strong and vibrant person. And, we knew each other when we were really young, and we kept in touch, loosely on social media. But I always loved watching her life. Like, she stayed in
Hmm.
the neighborhood, but she was very into community outreach. Her and her husband, they did a lot of a lot of things together, and they did what, kind of along the lines of what we want to do, and they did it in their own way. And they were always doing community outreach stuff, and to watch how the community came together for her, when she did it, was a beautiful thing to see. And just kind of like knowing that's where I came from, that's where we came from. And though, when you look around and you give back to a place, people are going to be there for you when you need it. But there was also news stories done about her because unfortunately she had cancer.
Hmm.
And when, by the time it was diagnosed and all of that, it was kind of late, and doctors gave the runaround because of insurance issues or things that the insurance didn't cover. And it's all the things you hear all the time.
Hmm.
But we as a people have to be a little bit more diligent to force the issue and try as hard as we can to help each other to get those answers, and get out in our community and try to make those differences. And it's just, it's sad to see that. I mean, the same thing happened with my cousin when,
Hmm.
when she was sick. Same thing happened with me when I first got diagnosed with COVID. Nobody wanted to get me tests, and I'm like, I
Oh
could
yeah,
have
you
died
were
from
early.
pneumonia
Yeah,
because I
you
was
were
super
early.
early. And
Yeah.
they were kept telling me like, it's no, it's this and that. Luckily for me, my mom was a nurse, and I was like,
Mm.
Mom, something is not, like, I feel like I'm gonna, like, something is not okay.
Yeah.
And so I forced it, and I was finally able to get what I needed. But that was really scary. And it just,
Look.
I mean, it goes into a
Yeah.
whole thing, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole about it, but we need to be self-aware. And when you don't feel good, you can't put it off to tomorrow,
Hmm.
because there might not be one. And we have to take care of each other, and we have to take care of ourselves.
By far the most difficult conversation we even have. All our difficult conversations are like, this person's so stupid. But this is a little bit more of a personal episode because we're just kind of breaking down some stuff. And again, the beauty of us is we are both over 40 years old and have a 20-year friendship, with tons of mutual friends or whatever too, and great stories. And it's just like what to talk about today. There's only so much we can do, like getting excited about the big pop culture
Mhm.
moment or the big movie, and we definitely do that all the time. But this episode felt just a little bit different. Like let's assess, let's talk about the
Mhm.
goods and the bads of 40. I think the goods of over 40 is more, I don't want to say I'm out here trying to burn bridges, Kelly, but I feel like when you're over 40, you're like, well, you're so confident in your decisions, not that you weren't at 32, not that
Mhm.
you weren't at 28, but at over 40, you're like, if somebody were to tell you because you confidently made a decision, someone's like, oh, you don't want to burn the bridge, burn it down. Meaning, if I'm not on that side anymore and we're moving over here, I don't give a care what's going on this side. I'm will burn it, burn it, burn it to the ground. And that is something that sounds so dramatic, but it's something that I feel like over 40 really became part of me, where I was like, whatever my decision is I don't want to say it can't be broken,
No, but it's one of my favorite lines from a Sex and the City episode that Charlotte says, because she's made a choice that she's not confident with, and they're kind of giving her shit about it, and she's like, I choose my choice. I choose my choice. And
Mhm.
I think about that all the time, because even if you're on the fence, if you feel that that's right for you, you have to choose your choice.
Yeah.
And if someone else doesn't like it and they're going to try to take you down or tear you down for it, you're right. Set that shit on fire, because you don't need that for you.
And we wouldn't say that when we were younger. We would not
No,
say that
absolutely not.
because somebody could know somebody could know somebody could know
Mhm,
somebody, and you're trying to pursue this, and you don't want to have a bad reputation. But when you get over 40, you're like, I've done what I've set out to do, and I've had peaks and valleys of success
mhm.
and failure, but I'm I'm still here. I'm still here, and now I get to write the playbook the way I want to. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's my favorite part about being over 40. And it's not saying all my decisions are right. It just means I'm passionate about them. And the only people that I let come into that is people that I know and trust and colleagues and stuff. I don't go to Twitter and say, I wonder what Twitter thinks about this burning bridge, or not, let's say I'm not even a burning a bridge, but this passionate decision that I made that nobody
Mhm,
understands. I'm usually like, I made this decision. It's right for me now. There's no second guessing because I'm over 40 and I know myself more than I did at 28 and at 32. The only people that I will allow in and to give a little bit of discourse and motivate me, or have a different perspective, is like a like friends that I really really know.
Oh
So that's
yeah.
my favorite of 40. The least favorite is just metabolism. You know? It's like I've struggled with weight my whole life, and then I got to a good place, and then once you get over 40, it's like, oh no, we just like just gave up.
It's like
Metabolism
super glue.
just metabolism said, "You're on your own, buddy." And I'm just like, well, I'm like, excuse me, metabolism. I have not made the money that I want to make yet to be able to do the Khloe Kardashian. You know what I mean? Well, oh yeah,
Oh my
she worked out really hard, didn't she? You know what I mean? I haven't made the money to kind of like, go the Khloe route and nip and tuck, but so that part is the worst. But being in your 40s is very special. I give a lot of credit to people who are in their 40s who maybe had this really wild ride in their 20s and got married and had kids and stuff like that. And a lot of them are getting a divorce and starting over. I also identify with the people, of course, who never got married because their career was their baby. I'm in that boat. And I love being single. It's something I always advocate for. Like, not saying kids aren't the greatest thing ever, but they never happened in my journey. So I'm never going to feel bad about that or feel like I'm lesser than. And I think society sometimes likes to do that to you.
Oh, for
And
sure. I cannot stand
yeah,
that part of being a single person.
yeah.
It just it's not okay. If somehow having a career is less than having no,
And
no, it doesn't have to be one or the
you and I
other.
wave the red flag or whatever flag. We wave the flag and say, no, like you can still be everything you want to be. And like having a child or having, being married, those are great things. But I don't want it. Here's what I don't want. I don't want people to start getting at that age of like, and we've probably done it, 36, 37, 38, where you're like, oh gosh, I'm gonna be 40 and these things have not happened yet. I want people to be like, so what? Life is beautiful, and wherever you end up is where you end up. It's a blessing for those people who had kids and got married or whatever, but are a lot of them happy? That's the
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
They're not as happy as me. Um, but it's just some perspective to think about, and I really want to be like, sort of a champion of that. Like for all of my single female friends who are of a certain age, I always shower them with love, like
Of a
I don't
certain
want
age.
of a certain age, or even, okay, let's go younger. My sister's 10 years younger, and I never really heard her talk about children, and
Mhm.
now she's getting to the age where her friends are starting to either have kids or talk about it, and now she's kind of talking about it, but she doesn't have anyone she's dating at the moment. So I
Mhm.
always am like, listen, I support your, it's different for a woman for sure biologically, but if this doesn't happen, you're still a beautiful human being. You've got a great job, you're kind to everybody. Don't let age define anything.
And it's
uh,
hard. It's hard to stick with that because culture and society do put a lot of strain on just everybody. I think men and women. I mean,
mm,
it's different the way that it goes, but for women, at least for me, it's the constant holiday question, and we're like rolling into
yeah.
the holidays, right? So
Hmm.
it's like, here I'm gonna come with like my 4 dogs and no kids and no husband,
Yeah.
but that's just not where my life is. And I've never wanted to be married or be in a relationship just for the sake of being in one. I'm just never going to do that. I've seen so many people do it. I'm going to
Hmm.
be at visiting with people that have done it. And I hang out with the people that are in it all the time. And which is fine, which is okay if you are willing to be content versus you know, fully fulfilled or whatever, to each his own. I don't That's all on you. But I don't feel like we should judge each other or anyone else based off of the choices we make. And I think a lot of times everyone tends to fall into that sometimes. Because even us on the other side of it, we can look and be like, oh, but your husband does this in your life, you do this, all you do is
Mm,
complain about this, but look at me, I'm over
right.
here doing this and you want to judge me. So it goes both ways. I think we're all guilty of doing it.
Yeah, I
But
don't like the
again, yeah,
judgment part.
no.
Recently I had one relative was kind of saying something about another relative, and they were like, this was like a distant cousin or whatever,
Mhm,
not distant, but like generationally distant.
mhm.
So we're close with the person, but the other family member was like, oh well, you don't want to, and I guess they were talking about me. They were like, you don't want to end up like such and such because, they have this and they're still working and not retired and they have to depend on that work and they've got nothing. They've just got an apartment and they've got a dog and, no love life or whatever. I guess, but this person does have a child, or grown up child. But I was just like, in my head, I was like telling this particular relative, how do you know that this relative is like stressed about any of that? That is your perception of life.
Right.
And by the way, this one looks like they're having more fun than this one. And so I was really really mesmerized by like the teachings or the quote unquote support that this particular relative was trying to, you should set up your life like this because this and this and invest in this and this and this because you don't want to be like this person. And then I was like, every time I talk to this particular distant relative, they're having a ball. Now, do they have money to shower the world with? No. Is it paycheck to paycheck to a degree? No. But is there happiness? Yes. So I don't know, man. You got to let people do what they have to do.
Absolutely. You have to let people be, and you can't project your stuff on someone else. And it's something I've kind of been going through recently with someone. It's like, I'm sorry that you're feeling like you missed out on all these things. And, when you compare our lives, they were very different, but there is no comparison because different doesn't mean bad. Yeah. Different doesn't mean I won, you lost, or you won and I lost. Different is simply different. And I think that we tend to forget about that as a society, that different isn't bad. Different is different. So we should all be celebrated for the differences that we make. Now, if you're deciding, okay, well, maybe now that I'm looking back, I wish I would have spent a little less time on this and maybe devoted to that. But if you really wanted it, you would have done it.
I want to do another episode down the line, many episodes from now, maybe at the top of the year. What differences do you step in terms of dating in your 40s? Because again, a couple years ago when Kellie and I started this, we were like just turning 40, and now we're like in it.
So we're fucking deep.
Yeah, we're in it, and I feel like maybe we'll bring on a relationship expert. We have two friends that do that, and I want to look into that in the future. But and that's again not that dating is all be a thing.
No, but I had a friend ask me, it's like, why aren't you dating? Like, what's your deal? What's your type? Like, what are you looking for? And we got into this really interesting conversation. And it was a man that asked me, and he was kind of pointing out all these things about things that he knew about my life. And I told him, I said, it's so funny the way that you're talking about them. I appreciate the way that you're talking about them because you're talking about them in the way that I felt that they were, as interesting accomplishments and on a positive side. But a lot of times when I'm dating someone, they look at that stuff as a negative because it makes them feel small for whatever insecurity they might have.
Kellie has always dealt with that.
Therein lies my issue when it comes to dating. And it's probably because I tend to gravitate toward that because I want to be a fixer and I want to help everybody live their best life. And,
Kellie loves a project. No.
Sophia Bush said one of the best things in an interview. And I really loved what she said because I feel like I'm a lot of the same way. She sees people's potential versus who they really are. And when you're always looking at what someone can be, you miss who they are and they tend to take advantage and you tend to be disappointed in all of that because you're not just accepting them for who they are. You're looking deeper than that, but they are not looking deeper in themselves. And you can't fix that. You can't do that. And it's
I think this has been a very interesting conversation about being young spirited as Kellie and I both are, but then getting over, becoming, 38, 39, 40, and now we're in our 40s. I think this was just such a great, scratching the surface of what it is to just, be as cool as you ever were and have as big of dreams as you ever did. But we're over 40 now. And what differences do our lives, occur? What are the differences that occur? How are we there for our friends in a different way? I think even since we've done the show, we've connected even further. I'll tell you one thing though, Kellie, 40 is fun, but you know what's even funner than that? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Viridian Row, creativity never goes out of style, is the brand that has been supporting us since day one. Go to viridianrow.com if you want to support what they do. They've got a ton of apparel, a lot of creative stuff. And by the way, if you want to support us as well, patreon.com/randomlyRJ Jr. is where I put additional content. Go to difficultpodcasters.com, which you're already kind of up in the mix, and you'll see a ton of stuff. in terms of links or whatever, and the products that that Viridian Row has. In fact, I do have a couple images of some of the products that they have. So definitely, if you're into anything in the vein of creativity, some dynamic quote T-shirts, which we've used previously on the show, and I think we might start using them again, or have a difficult podcaster's mug. We get everything through Viridian Row, and the thing that I always say is the best about them is they are based out of Texas, but they are a small business and it's a sister duo. And I just think that's something really special, in this day and age, especially with podcasting. I was listening the other day, Kelly, and I go to Spotify, and it's like it took a minute and 45 seconds maybe for a podcast to start because there was all these commercials and they were so disingenuous. And I even went onto the one that they're promoting, which is Kim Kardashian's new show. And I was like, what is this? And it was I'm not saying what she's doing is not good, because it was in the vein of her advocacy of, maybe some of the legal stuff that, is definitely wrong. So I'm not gonna knock that. I do think Spotify should have invested with somebody else. Kim's not the person to do that. That's just my opinion. But what I'm saying is the whole concept of our podcast, we're more of an independent thing, and we've got a great sponsor like Viridian Row. We want to show them love. You go on these big sites and these big celebrities, and everything before they hit the microphone, look at I'm getting mad, is disingenuous. Everything that they do before they hit the mic, and you can tell it, you can see it, even if they're doing good work, like Kim is doing good work. I'm not going to knock that part. So for us, it's just a little bit more exciting to work with a brand called ViridianRow.com. And also, you know what? I have hazel eyes, so I like the color Viridian. It is just so similar. Anyways, did you have any thoughts on that as well?
Well, they also do custom stuff, so you can get with them and create something of your own. So they have one of the sisters is a graphic designer, so she can work with you if you have your own idea that you want to bring to life, which I think is really fun. So in this day and age, when with so many creators in the world, and if you have an idea and you don't really know how to put it on a shirt or on a mug or on paper or canvas, whatever, they can definitely help you out with that. So check out the site or shoot them an email to get more information.